I turned 3 years old when Half-Life 2 released. When that puppy hit store shelves, the raw energy of that plastic case sent shockwaves into my body, and I was cursed to become a fan of this wretched series, and one day they'll find my corpse in the Sector C test lab suckling at the worm-infested tit of a head crab. God bless you, Gabe, for your beautiful mind. Anyway, here's 10 of my favorite levels across every game. Now, those of you who think that this list might be purely speculative and subjective are wrong. This is a 100% true list of facts, and if you disagree, you are stupid, and I will strangle your parents. Number 10, The Nihilanth. A top 10 list and a Zen level is there? What an idiot. Shut up. Yeah, okay, alright. Most of Zen is not very good. Big whoop. We've heard this before. The Nihilanth is sick as hell. I love that he's a giant, weird baby, and that his head, kind of folds open like a flower. I love that he's really the only major boss fight in the game. I mean, other than the Gonarg and maybe the Blast Pit guy, he feels cumulative. He feels like the natural end of the game. Weird and new, and the meeting with the G-Man afterwards. There's so much here that you've never seen before, which is really cool. Coming in at number 9 is Riding Shotgun. What, you get to drive in a yellow 1969 Dodge Charger and you just rip through the countryside? There's a really cool bit with an advisor, and you're going to learn that I like car chapters. Anyway, this shit is dope. It reminded me of the Evil Dead Oldsmobile at the time. If anyone ever mods that car into episode 2, please tell me if that exists or if it needs to be. I'll literally help model it, or at least stream the entire thing or something. Coming in at number 8 is a bit of a cheat, but I'll tell you why. It's the end of direct intervention into Lowlife. And I'm cheating because it's the only episode 1 feature in this, and it's my video, so... but it has really my favorite scene in the entire series. And I'm including both because it's the scene itself and then the aftermath. It's Alex's confrontation with the stalker in the train crash. It really gives us the only insight we're going to get into Alex's mother until later in the game. I mean, if at all, really. And just her relationship, the acting here is stellar. You get so much out of this game with Alex, and that's really the best part of it. And you get the Zombine joke, which is hilarious, and I laugh every time. It's also a very spooky, scary section of the game. You get to fight some Zombines with grenades and normal zombies, and anyway, I like it. Number 7 is the Northern Star. A lot of people would sin me for not having more HLA in here. I'll be honest, it's my least favorite of the official releases, ignoring Blue Shift, Decay, etc., etc. That's a personal preference. I don't think it's necessarily right. And some things get lost in a decade of translation. I mean, not to mention, it's a complete change of medium. But come on, you cannot deny the football game that is going on in this chapter. We're talking a working piano, a fucking tossing bottles of booze with accurate liquid displacement. The interior design is fantastic. It's so City 17, and I'm here for it. Number 6, Follow Freeman. I don't really have a whole lot to say about this chapter, other than I think, hot damn. You're fighting Combine Striders with the homie Barney, someone who you've been wanting to hang out with since the moment he offered you a beer, and now you finally get to fight side by side with your best friend, and he says a silly swear at the end. You're brawling street by street. You're fighting like it's, revolutionary France, launching missiles at Striders and snipers. I mean, this makes me feel like I'm in Day of Defeat. Number 5 is Office Complex. Office Complex. Flickering lights, electrified water, head crabs, the air ducts. It's hell. It has everything you could ever want, and it introduces so much that we've accepted as Half-Life gospel. And it's just the offices. So much of the motifs and the language of what would become what these games are was introduced in this hour, 45-minute section. I mean, whatever it is, right? And it is the best of what would be continually improved on later. And I don't think that it's the best part of the game. it introduced everything. Like Portal, those first couple chapters, being able to tell the player, hey, this is what the game is. This is how to play it. I love it. Number 4, Our Mutual Friend. So much of the speculation and lore that the fan base has had to literally nourish off for over a decade took place in this chapter. I mean, we introduced so many moving parts that would influence the trajectory of Episode 3 and every failed experiment that Valve did until Alex, the G-Man, Eli, the Borealis, Judith, Magnuson. It's the best dialogue in the entire series, bar none, period. It has the best memes in the game. And all these callbacks that really make you feel like you've been a part of this story since the Resonance Cascade. And then to top it all off, because Valve loves me, is the coolest fight scene that my small mind had ever experienced. It's a car level, and the Magnuson device makes this little, sound when it sticks to that. Oh, I love it. And then when it blows up, it's perfect. It's a perfect chapter. It really is everything you could ever want. Number 3, it's Ravenholm. This could be anyone's number 1. I know people are going to be butthurt. It's in number 3. It's the best. I mean, what? It's a puzzle-focused horror tangent level with the best weapon in the game. It's beautiful. It inspired an entire spin-off that never got made, but you don't need to suck this chapter off anymore. Everyone knows how good it is. I don't need to tell you that. All I got to tell you is what makes the next 2 so important to me that it isn't number 1. Number 2 is surface tension. The moment you walk out of that tiny little metal tunnel and you overlook New Mexico, and then the jets are blasting by, you know this is the peak of Half-Life 1. The HECU are the best enemies designed of any game ever. I mean, the complexity of how they target you and shoot and cover and throw grenades. I mean, you enjoyed fighting them in the test labs and in dark corridors. Well, let's crank it up. Let's fight them on their turf, on the surface. But now they've got tanks and they've got helicopters and they'll drop bombs on you. This chapter is the best fighting in the entire game. And people consider it the hardest level of the first game, which, yeah, I guess maybe it is. It's really long is what it is. But the rewards at the end of it are just so peak. I mean, you get to kill hundreds of these dudes and you're sweating and it's so difficult. But then you're given a tactical map to coordinate airstrikes to blow up a wall. And Loki, every time I replay this map, I just launch a dozen of them because it's so much fun. Not to mention, you even get a little machine gun corridor section where you get to mow down, I think it's Vortigaunts. Love that bit. Number 1, Highway 17. This is my favorite chapter. I mean, what did I tell you about car levels? This section is a really important place in my life. The bridge section is directly inspired by a bridge I grew up a few miles from my house called Deception Pass. And what this chapter was a virtual extension of what I would do in real life as a young adult. I would drive around, I would climb shit, and I pretended I knew where I was going, and I'd go really fast through tunnels. And I first played Half-Life 2 when I was 11 or 12, and this chapter immediately cemented it as my favorite game ever because it felt like home to me. Valve is in my backyard. This chapter feels like a love letter to that, to the nature, to the desolate and mysterious expanse of growing up along the Pacific has. There's a drive right by my house called Chuckanut Drive that I've always felt like living this chapter in real life. And I used to pretend. And I would stop along some of the weird sites along the way. And it really did feel like you could find a head crab poking under a crate or a Combine soldier peering through a magnifying glass. It has that level of accuracy that it really translates. This is a major bias, but it's mine, and it's purely mine. And I feel like this chapter belongs to me in a weird way. Play just that chapter and tell me that it isn't the best of a demo, of a perfect demo of what Half-Life 2 is. Anyway, that's my list. If you disagree, please tell me. I would love to do more. Have a great day.